to this. Before we do, a little story. Back when I was in high school and I took electricity class, we also shared the electricity class with the automotive class. And we found a 12-volt battery, and our fellow student Jerry was a basically unsuspecting victim of our prank of hooking booster cables to the chair. And while he sat on the chair, we then connected the red booster cable and touched the chair, setting Jerry with a nice 12-volt zap. Now, we used the Edison side of things on that one, but had we used the Tesla side of things, we would have killed poor Jerry. However, it would have been funny either way. Nobody really liked Jerry very much, but anyway, I digress. But AC power, that's the thing. The phrase volts hurt, amps kill. And it only takes about a seventh of an amp, 0.7th of an amp, to actually kill a person. I mean, you could hold a billion volts in your hand as long as you don't ground out on anything. That type of thing. So the man revolutionized the world. Now, there was something he had said, and I don't know if I can actually coin it exactly how he said it. But basically, progress was not necessarily good for humanity. Meaning, if you have to completely destroy the landscape and completely, take all the resources out of the land and just basically consume everything, that wasn't necessarily good for humanity. So it may be progress, but it's not necessarily good for humanity. This can get kind of long, so I'm gonna kind of leave out a lot of stuff. You can go to the Wikipedia site if you want to get the full biography of the man, because it's quite long. So I'll try to cut it as short as I can. Or it's still going to be long. But anyway, born July 10th, 1856 in Smiljan, Austrian Empire, modern-day Croatia. Died 7th of January 1943 at age 86 in New York City. Cause of death, coronary thrombosis. Probably butchered that. Education and stuff like that. He went to a lot of different schools, he dropped out of some of them. He was kind of a little bit of a renegade in the first years. He did well when he applied himself, which even caused some of his one of his professors to think that he was cheating because he could do calculus and stuff like in his head. And figured he was cheating. And then of course he got addicted to gambling and stuff like that. And, like most of these mad scientists, genius types, they always go a little insane and off the deep end and become quite eccentric. So he lost money. He even, cut ties with his family after failing school, because he didn't want to be a failure. And then they tried to track him down and, pleaded for him to come home, but he didn't and stuff like that. His dad was a preacher, so to speak, and his mom was basically the mad inventor of the household, and he attributes his creative side to his mom's side. So that's kind of interesting. Now, what made this man so kind of special, so to speak? What made him really catch the world's attention? And something I've often talked about, is that a lot of people nowadays think that people that lived before us were stupid. And there could be nothing further from the truth. In fact, you've probably heard me quoted several times, me saying that, you can quote me saying that there were people in the 1800s that were much far forward thinking than what people are today. Mind you, they didn't have any distractions back then. Either you were working or you were thinking. You know what I mean? There wasn't really much in between to do. That's why some of the, your philosophers and poets and stuff, that they came around before the internet age. Right now, everything... You don't have to really create as much now because you could just go and watch everything on the internet or on TV or whatever. And, you can get ideas from that. But that does kind of hold back creativity to a certain degree when you're just consuming it rather than actually, basically participating in it, into creativity. But anyway, Nikola Tesla, the genius who lit the world. Nikola Tesla symbolized the unified force of the inspirational for all nations in the name of peace and science. He was truly a visionary, far ahead of his contemporaries in the field of scientific development. New York State and many other states in the U.S. proclaimed July 10th Tesla's birthday, Nikola Tesla Day. Many U.S. state congressmen gave speeches in the House of Representatives in July 10th in 1990, celebrating the 134th anniversary of the scientific inventor Nikola Tesla. The street sign Nikola Tesla Corner was placed on the corner of 40th Street and 6th Avenue in Manhattan. There's a large photo of Tesla in the Statue of Liberty Museum, the Liberty Science Center in Jersey City, New Jersey has a daily science demonstration of the Tesla coil, creating a million volts of electricity before the spectators' eyes. Many books were written about Tesla. You know, the genius, the kind of mad scientist, the life of Nikola Tesla by John O'Neill, Margaret Cheney's book Tesla, Man Out of Time, contributed significantly to his fame. A documentary film of Nikola Tesla, the genius who lit the world, produced the Tesla Memorial Society and Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade, The Secret of Nikola Tesla, Orson Welles, BBC Films master, Ionosphere, and the other contributor geniuses. So, like I said, Nikola Tesla was born July 10th, 1856, in Smiljan, I don't know if I pronounced it right, Laika, which is then the part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, region of Croatia. His father, Milutin Tesla, was a Serbian Orthodox priest. His mother, Dajuka Manadik was an inventor of her own right, household appliances. Tesla studied at the Realschule Karlstrand in 1873, and the Polytechnic Institute of Graz in Austria, and the University of Prague. And at first he intended to specialize in physics and mathematics, but soon became fascinated with electricity. He began his career as an electrical engineer with the telephone company in Budapest in 1881. It was there where Tesla was walking with a friend through the city park, and that was elusive solution to the rotating magnetic field flashing through his mind with a stick. He drew a diagram in the sand to explain to his friend the principle of the induction motor before going to America. Tesla joined the Continental Edison Company in Paris, where he designed dynamos, while Strasbourg in 1883 he privately built a prototype of the induction motor and ran it successfully. Unable to interest anyone in Europe in promoting this radical device, Tesla accepted an offer from Thomas Edison in New York. His childhood dream was to come to America to harness the power of Niagara Falls. Big thinker, definitely a big thinker. Nikola Tesla came to the United States in 1884, and introduction letter from Charles Batchelor to Thomas Edison. I know two great men, wrote the Bachelor. One is you, the other one is this young man. Tesla spent the next 59 years of his productive life living in New York. Tesla set about improving Edison's line of dynamos, where working with Edison in the lab in New Jersey. And that's where the divergence of opinion with Edison over direct current versus alternate current began. The disagreement climaxed into the current wars, or war of currents. Edison fought a losing battle to protect his investment, direct current equipment and facilities. If you don't know the difference between direct current and alternate current, if it doesn't get into it here, I'll kind of get into it a bit for you, just so you can really realize how spectacular, forwardly thinking he was. Young Nikola Tesla came to the United States in 1884. Oh, sorry. Tesla pointed out that the inefficiency of Edison's direct current electrical powerhouse have been built up and down the Atlantic seaboard. The secret, he felt, lay in the use of alternate currents, because to him all energies were cyclic. Why not build generators that would send electrical energy along distribution lines, first one way, then the other, in multiple waves, using the polyphase principle, in other words, 60 cycles, which is like a 60 hertz thing. It's like a phasing. That's what power does, much faster. But that give you an idea to put it into something that you can understand. Phasing, rather than just it's like a pulse. Anyway, so when you hear 60 cycles, direct current, alternate current, kind of give you an idea there. what the war was all about. It was all about the war. uh, eh, Sometimes if you're listening to like a radio or something like that, or even a TV, and say somebody turns on another electrical appliance, sometimes you'll actually hear the oscillation of the current uh, in that in a TV or something like you hear the or the zzz, whatever it might be. You might even hear it in the if there's enough like a box that's humming. Sometimes you'll if you listen to it, you can actually hear it cycling, but you have to really listen to hear it. Like that type of thing. But anyway, you get the idea. Um, okay. Edison's lamps were weak and inefficient when supplied by direct current. This system had several disadvantages in that they could not transport more than 2 miles due to the inability to set up too high a voltage levels increases for long distance transmission. Consequently, the direct current power system was required at 2 miles intervals. Direct current flows consistently in one direction. Alternate current changes direction 50 or 60 times per second and can step up to a very high voltage level, minimizing power loss great distance for future belongs of alternate current. That's 60 cycles. I'm just going to talk about the cycles again because it really does come to that thing. One thing you typically see is low voltage, high ampage. High ampage, low voltage, or high voltage, low ampage. That's it. So low voltage, high ampage. Typically, it's less efficient, so you need more intensity to drive it. Think of voltage like a width of a stream. Okay, the wattage would be kind of like the depth of the stream. Okay, and the ampage would be like the speed of the stream. If that's the best way I can explain it to you. Now, when we're talking household appliances, we're typically talking 50, 60 cycle per second. That pulse there of all the current, fluctuating back and forth type of thing. Now, if you're talking, when you hear people talk about high frequency, for example, if you were running a dishwasher or I don't know, a blender, you'd use 60 cycles a second. That's fine. You're running your computer, you need 60 cycles true sine wave. Or else you'll actually see like a line going through your TV screen or whatever, and it kind of coming down. That's usually an indication of not enough of the cycle being too powerful or not powerful enough sometimes. The other thing is, let's say you're a welder and you want to weld stainless steel or aluminium. Well, you might need high frequency, like 140 cycles per second or hertz or whatever. This is what's going to the household. Now, in many European countries, they use 220 volts, so almost everything runs on like 2 amps. So it's very efficient because you got all that voltage, and you can push it very far. But it's still, three-phase or alternate current. And you could have multi-phase current too for really high voltage stuff, such as like 600 volt and stuff like that. Just to give you a kind of bit of an idea there, so of what he kind of laid the pathway for. Basically, the AC power you have in your house. Nikola Tesla developed the polyphase alternate current system of generator motors and transformers to be held 40 basic UI patents in the system, patents of the system, which George Westinghouse bought. Determined to supply America with the Tesla system, Edison did not want to lose his DC empire. And bitter war ensued. That was the war of the current between AC and DC. Tesla, Westinghouse ultimately emerged the victor because AC was superior technology. It was a war on the progress of both America and the world. Tesla introduced his motor and electrical system in a classic paper, the new system of alternate current motors and transformers, which he delivered before the American Institute of Electrical Engineering in 1888. One of the most impressed was the institutionalist and inventor George Westinghouse. On the day of the visit, Tesla's laboratory was amazed at what he saw. Tesla had constructed a model polyphase system consisting of an alternate current dynamo, step up and step down transformers and AC motors at the other end. A perfect partnership between Tesla and Westinghouse for the nationwide use of electricity in America had begun. In February 1882, Tesla discovered the rotary magnetic field fundamental principle in physics and the basis of nearly all devices that use alternate current. Tesla's brilliant adapted of the principle of the rotary magnetic field for the construction of the alternate current induction motor and the polyphase system for the generator, transmission, distribution, and electrical power. Tesla's induction motor is widely used throughout the world in industry and household appliances. It started the Industrial Revolution at the run of the century, at the turn of the century. Electricity today is generally transmitted by conventional to sorry. Electricity today is generated, transmitted to converted to mechanical power by means of his inventions. Tesla's greatest achievement is his polyphase alternate current system, which is today's lighting and the entire globe. Okay, keep going here. All right. So I want to get to. I may have to do a couple of parts on this because I'm not doing too bad for time here. Again, so much to cover, so that it's. I want to get into how the man kind of thought too. So I'm just going to read some of this stuff, and then you can look it up yourself. You can spend hours researching this guy if you want. It's definitely not hard to do. Tesla is astonished by the world's demonstration of the wonders of alternate current, and at the World Columbian Expedition in Chicago in 1893, alternate current became standard power in the 20th century. This accomplished changed the world. He designed the first hydroelectric power plant in Niagara Falls in 1895, which was the final victory of the alternate current. Well, I won't say final, but the achievement was covered widely with the world press. Tesla was praised as a hero worldwide. King Nikola of Montenegro conferred upon him the Order of Danielo. Tesla was a pioneer in his field. The Tesla coil, which was invented in 1891, is widely used today in radio, television sets, and electronic equipment. That years also make the date of Tesla's United States citizenship. His alternative current induction motor is considered one of the 10 greatest discoveries of all times. Amongst the discoveries of the fluorescent light, laser beam, wireless communication, wireless transmission of electrical energy, remote control robotics, Tesla's turbine and vertical takeoff aircraft, Tesla in the father of the radio and modern electrical transmission system. His registration of over 700 patents worldwide. His vision included the exploration of solar energy and the power of the sea. He foresaw interplanetary communications and satellites. Again, back in the 1800s, this guy was still thinking about things that we take for granted today. And people don't think like that as much anymore. So that's, again, these people only come along a few times in history. Every other century or so you get a guy like this. Maybe I'm going to skip some of this here because it'll get too long. We're going to talk about, in 1896, the publish of X-ray of a man made by Tesla, the X-ray tubes of his own design. They appeared at the same time when the Rodington announced his discovery of X-rays. Tesla never attempted to proclaim priority. Rodington congratulated Tesla on his sophisticated X-ray picture, and Tesla even wrote Rodington's name on his film. He experimented with the shadow graphs, similar to the latter, where he was using William Rodington's discovered X-ray in 1895. Sorry. Tesla countless experiments included work on carbon button lamp and the power of electrical resonance. And various types of lighting. Tesla invented the special vacuum tube to emit light to be in photography. Beneath the breadth of his invention demonstrated by his patents for the bladeless steam turbine based of a spiral flow principle. The Tesla also patented pump designed to operate at extremely high temperatures. Okay. Again, you want to go through all 700, inventions of his, by all means. Again, you can look it up. Things that he also wanted. Okay, the Tesla coil is what probably most people know him for. And it was written here. The world will wait a long time for Nikola Tesla equal in achievements and imagination. E. Armstrong. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to close this one off. Some of the things that he was working on, the Tesla death ray is kind of one of conspiracy. People say, maybe they took this technology and actually use it. But the idea was to shoot planes out of the sky using basically microwaves. And then, of course, the Philadelphia experiment. We know about that. Uh, some of the technology there was reportedly his. Working for Edison in 1892 or 1882. He was hired by Edison and to design and improve electrical equipment. Now, Edison basically said to him that if he could take his design and make it better, he would give him $50,000 for it if he could do it. Now, Tesla did this. However, Edison, when Tesla asked for the payment, Edison said he was only joking and replied, Tesla, you don't understand American humor. Instead, he offered $10 a week raise over the $18 a week. So, in other words, he shafted him big time, right? Considering, you have to understand, must have been pretty fiercely competitive back there. And, of course, inventors back in their time, like physicists and everything, they have ego invested in there too, right? So the other thing is that he got involved with guys like J.P. Morgan and stuff like that, who basically funded many of his projects. And when like anything, if it didn't work out, he would lose the funding and stuff like that. So there was a lot of things that he did that kind of kept him going, working out patents, and he would after getting shafted, he got shafted quite a bit actually on a lot of stuff where he get go work for a company and then get fired and all the patents would stay with the company. So then he learned to do something different. What he did with the Weinstein house was got them to break the money into threes. So he would get a third of the money, a third of money would go to the partners, and then the other third of money would go back into development. So he'd always have his money coming in. So he finally learned how to do that, stuff like that. So that was kind of, I guess like anything back in the day would have been trial and error. The next thing I want to talk about, the X-ray of the hand taken by Tesla started in 1894. So I guess he was, nuking himself back then. I'm gonna skip a little bit here, just to move it along again. If you go to Wikipedia, you can read for a couple hours there, just some of the stuff. But I want to get to some of his quotes and stuff like that. Gonna just scroll down. Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay. So here we are. Okay, hang on. My God, it's so long. Like, it doesn't look like you got much there, but it's like, you like get 2 hours of reading here. So, okay. Okay, personal life. Tesla worked every day from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. or later, with dinner, except for with dinner from exactly 8:10 p.m. at the Delmenco restaurant, and later at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. Tesla would telephone his dinner to the head waiter, who could be the only one to serve him. The meal was required to be ready by 8 o'clock. He denied alone, except the rare occasions where he would give dinner to group to meet his social obligations. Then he would resume work until 3 a.m. in the morning. So he was a workaholic, like most of these people were, you know. And on top of that, like he had kind of a strange personality. He was a bit brackish towards women a bit. Uh, he definitely didn't like fat people, stuff like that. He was known to have sent a woman home for not wearing, telling her to change her dress and stuff like that. But he also had some strange predictions of the future that you could kind of say that, yeah, uh, he kind of predicted the future a bit. But there was also another guy, Brazo. He was a politician here in Quebec, and he kind of made the same kind of assumptions that you want to keep the woman in the household and stuff like that. Now I'm going to try to find a little statement here uh, where he talks about the queen bee, so to speak, and relationships. Okay, here we go. Tesla with an unknown woman. Tesla was never married. He said his chastity was very helpful to his scientific abilities. However, towards the end of his life, he told reporters, "Sometimes I feel that by not marrying, I made too great of sacrifice to my work." There have been numerous accounts of women vying for Tesla's affection, even some madly in love with him. Tesla thought polite and soft-spoken, did not and have not known any relationships. Okay, so Tesla's social prone to schedule himself to work. However, he did engage in social life. Many people spoke very positively and admirably of Tesla. Robert Underwood Johnson described him as attending a distinguished sweetness, sincerity, and modesty, refinement, and generosity, and a force. His uh, loyalty Secretary Dorothy Skirt wrote, his general smile and nobility of bearing always denoted the gentleman characteristics that where he was integrated, ingrained in his soul. Tesla friend Julia Hawthorne wrote, "Seldom did one meet a scientist or engineer who was a poet, philosopher, and appreciation for fine music, and a linguist and a connoisseur of food and drink." So again, all over the map, personality-wise, right? But also, sometimes he would lash out at people too. But again, you never know why, right? Trying to find the Queen Bee statement here, and before I can move on to that. Well, okay, maybe we'll move on to the next one. Some of the things too. Tesla was fascinated by the numbers 3, 6, and 9, and one of the things he quoted is that if people understood the value and importance of the number 3, 6, and 9 in numerology, because he was into numerology, it was kind of one of those things that he was a bit kind of shunned by the mainstream scientists for being a bit on the how's the best way to say it, kind of like on the UFO crowd. He thought some of his visions or ideas were being sent to him from basically beyond this world. So that's why he was trying to get the idea of planetary travel or communication or whatever, so that you could send messages back. So a lot of the times he figured he was being sent messages by somewhere else. And when it came to religion and stuff like that, he wasn't really anti-religion, so to speak. I wouldn't call him an atheist. He did show kind of slightly partial to Christianity, but he didn't really follow it. He wasn't he made some statements against it, kind of, but he didn't. He believed in other things, such as aliens giving him information from a porthole somewhere. So he did believe those kind of things was possible. He didn't know for sure, but he did look into it. He was read things that related to it and the science fiction stuff, which of course to announce any of that in the scientific world would got him a lot of so-called rolling eyes, so to people, type of thing. So that's kind of some of the things he was into. And then he had a love affair basically with a pigeon. With pigeons, he loved pigeons, and he fed these pigeons and stuff like that. He was injured trying by he got hit by a taxi cab and stuff like that. He wasn't able to feed his pigeons for a while and stuff like that. But there was one pigeon in particular that he basically he quoted. He would call it. It would come to him, and he loved it as he would love a woman, and it loved him. So it was like his favorite pigeon and stuff like that. So also too, there was to avoid draft from the army, so to speak. He went and hid in the mountains for a bit, and he said that connection with nature also allowed him, at that time allowed him to connect with nature more. The other thing he said was one of the things that he was saying. He did become a vegan or vegetarian later on in life, I guess, after with the with the pigeon thing, but who knows, right? Tesla was generally antagonistic towards the theories and conversion matter into energy, with towards Einstein. He also was critical of Einstein's theory of relativity, saying, and he kind of makes a point here. I hold that space cannot be curved for the simple reason it has no properties. It might as well have been said that God has properties. He has not, but only attributes, and these are of our own making. The properties we can only speak and deal with is matter filled in the space. To say that in the presence of a large body, space becomes curved is equivalent to saying something can act upon nothing. I, for one, refuse to subscribe to that view. Now, for the physicists out there, you can debate that all you want. Yeah. Tesla claimed to have developed his own principles regarding matter and energy, that has started work in 1892, and in 1937, at age 81, claimed in the latter of having a dynamic theory of gravity, would put the end to the idea of speculative as false conceptions, that the curved space. Again, these scientists would have rivaled. This was common. Inventors and scientists would rival. They still do today. He stated that the theory was worked out of all details, and had hoped to soon give it to the world. Future analysis of his theory was never found in this writing. So we don't know. He took it to the grave with him. Okay, on society, Tesla, like many of his era, became a prominent of the imposed selective breeding visions of eugenics. Eugenics at the turn of the century was a big thing, and we still see it today. Unfortunately, eugenics is nor good nor bad. It's all how you use it, in my opinion. But anyway, his opinion stemmed from the belief that humans, the pity, had interfered with the natural ruthlessness workings of nature, rather than from a conception of the master race, or inherent superiority of one person's over another. His advocacy of it was, however, to push it further. In 1937 interview, he stated, "Man's new sense of pity began to interfere with the ruthless workings of nature. The only method comparable with our notions of civilization and race is to prevent the breeding of the unfit, sterilization, and deliberate guidance of mating instincts. The trend of my opinion amongst eugenicists is that we must make marriage more difficult. Certainly one who is not a desirable parent should be permitted to produce a progeny. A century from now, it will no more occur to a normal person to mate with a person eugenically unfit than to marry a habitual criminal." Now, again, this was common back in the day. It's basically a form of class warfare, but there is science behind this to a point. I mean, we are at a point now where you can actually, if morality is not a question whatsoever, just based on the science, you could pretty much design a kid, and the traits. You can actually make a human, basically engineer a human, pretty much to not have certain traits or to have certain traits. It's just like anything. It's a question of, ethics, right? So I'm sure behind closed doors somewhere in a lab somewhere, there's some test tube superhuman being developed as we speak. That's it. It all started with, what was the name of the little lamb? Dolly the lamb, or Dolly the sheep, back in the 90s. It started with that, splitting the embryo, right? So anyway. And then, of course, God knows what they're working on now. Okay, in 1926. Oh yes, okay, yes. In 1926, this is the quote I wanted to get to. In 1926, Tesla commented on the ills of the social subversives of women and the struggle of women towards gender equality. Indicated that humanity's future would be run by queen bees. He believed that women would become the dominant sex in the future, and there's a lot of truth to that. Again, this kind of doubles back on Brasseur, what was his first name there? That politician saying that if you took women out of the household, it would lead to women being very unhappy and very dysfunctional families, and it would split up the family. These are guys in the 1800s saying this pretty much, right? Okay, this is early 1900s when he finally says it, but it's the way they were thinking. And there is a lot of truth to that. If you look at modern societies around the world, where the way they vote, the way one reason why women were allowed to vote is not for equality; it's that they vote left on the majority. Wherever you go in the world, women always tend to vote socialist. So if you wanted to control a society via communism, you allow women to vote. Why? Because eventually you will vote that they will vote that way. They will vote for a welfare state, not out of evil or intentions. It's the motherness or whatever. You can get called racist, bigot, whatever you want to get called, but the science fits. That's why politicians allowed women to vote, not because of equality. They push it at equality, but it wasn't about equality. It was that, hey, we want to make money off of something. Okay, women will vote for that, and we can then tax it. We can then welfare system is basically the welfare mom, so to speak, with two kids, no father. Well, it's daddy government now. That's the thing. I'm not knocking women down. I'm just saying this is what they were referring to. Men are no longer needed in society by women the way they used to be. And again, I'm not against women working or anything like that. I'm just saying this is what they foresaw as a future. And we see with the cultural Marxists that we have now running the governments pretty much everywhere that, they were right. Again, these guys were forward thinking enough and they were smart enough to be able to kind of be able to predict, maybe not with pinpoint accuracy, but to say, hey, yeah, 2 plus 2 makes 5. It doesn't make 5, it makes 4. And if you change a fundamental element in something, everything follows suit. So yeah, so I mean that's just something I wanted to, because I know there's a lot of Magto guys that follow that, but they also, you have to go back to the eugenics one too. Again, that eugenics is still around today. Almost all the world elites are in that. Bill Gates is a eugenicist. Sterilized populations. Again, okay, Bill Gates doesn't take it from the master race, but he takes it probably, let's see, out of this quote, he would probably be taking it from the ruthless workings of nature, starvation, kids born with defects. Let's sterilize them so they can't breed. That type of thing. So Tesla and Bill Gates kind of have a commonality there. But Tesla was thinking superhuman. He was thinking not so much master race, but let's evolve to the next level. What can we become? Tesla, again, if you follow the man enough, you find out that he is really for the benefit of mankind, but he's also one of what you would call a mad scientist, because he does think so forward that I always refer to that Jeff Goldblum in the movie Jurassic Park, the first one, where he's talking to the guy that owns Jurassic Park, and he said, well, that's great that you created a dinosaur and done this. He says, but do you not think the question should have been, should you, rather than not could you, but should you have done it? And that does come along with eugenics. That does come along with some of these things. CERN right now is probably some. Yes, you can create a star, and the Big Bang on your, right, on the planet. But should you? Is that the best place to conduct that experiment? That type of thing. But anyway, I digress. So. Tesla was raised an Orthodox Christian. Later in life, he did not consider himself to be a believer in the Orthodox sense and opposed religious fanaticism. Despite this, he had profound respect for both Buddhism and Christianity. So so again, it shows him kind of as a leveled, in the middle, kind of in the middle of the road man, not completely flipped to one side, not completely flipped to the other. In other words, regular human being. In the problem of increasing human energy, published in 1900, Tesla stated, for ages this idea that each of us is only a part of a whole has been proclaimed in the consummatingly wise teaching of religion, probably not alone as a means of ensuring peace and harmony among men, but deeply founded truth. Buddhism expresses it in one way, and the Christian in the other, but both are saying the same. Something you've probably heard me say a lot about religions. They're all talking about the same thing. I'm just saying it a different way. We are all one. So again, well said. Uh, so it's like I can look at like a lot of religions and say there's a commonality theme here that you don't need to sweat the details. Just look at the bigger picture. So with him, he's going with the idea that we are all one. So he wants everybody to benefit in future. Again, going back to that comment about where progress is not necessarily beneficial for mankind. Where if it's just going to tear up the earth, if it's just going to consume faster without replenishing it, if it's going to destroy, it's not progress. However, his religious views remain uncertain due to the statements that he made. For example, in his article, a machine to end war, published in 1937, the death ray. He called it the peace ray, but well, technically he would be correct too, because if it hit the airplane and it blew up, it would be in pieces, right? So it's a peace ray. Okay, fair enough. However, there is no conflict between the ideal of religion and the idea of science. But science is opposed to the theological dogmas because of science is founded on fact. To me, the universe is simply a great machine which will never come into being and never will end. The human being is no exception from this natural order. Man is like the universe. It is a machine. Nothing enters our mind or determines our actions, which is not directly or indirectly a response to the stimuli beaten upon our senses organs from without, owing to the similarity of our own constructs and sameness of our environment. We respond in like manner to similar stimuli, and from the coordinates of our own reactions, understanding is born. The course of age, mechanisms of infinity, complexity, and development, but we all call it soul or spirit, and nothing more than the sum of the functions of the body. When the function ceases, the soul or spirit ceases likewise. Now, I love this statement, and here's why. Because what he is basically, in a overly complicated way, saying to people is the conservation laws of energy. Well, maybe not conservation, but the law of energy. And anybody that knows about this is the scientific law of energy, is basically energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred from one form to another. And that's the law of energy. And if you understand that, this was where I'm going to do a separate video on this, where, some people, and this is where I kind of jump off the so-called, I jump off the atheist bandwagon, way, because to me, an atheist, when they say, well, there's no scientific proof of heavens or, life after death or anything like that, this is kind of not so much putting it into a nail on the head kind of thing for me, as kind of more of let's simplify it so that you can understand it. The conservation of energy, okay? If you were going to, and this is probably why Tesla might not state his religious beliefs, I'm just theorizing here, but it could have something to do with the fact that maybe he comes to the realization, okay, maybe some people call it Buddha, maybe some people call it God, some people call it Allah, some people call it whatever. Okay, what they understand is God. But what is God? Well, we know about the Big Bang Theory and the God particle, the Higginbotham's thing, which kind of is the God theory, the God gene or whatever. We know about that. But that's, again, energy, right? It's created, but it's not really created. It's just transferred from something to something else. In other words, when you die, what is a human? A human is a walking meat battery. We're energy. We are made up of energy. We basically, if you harness our energy, we could light a light bulb for like a year. If you could find the plug-in, you could do it. We're a battery. We emit energy. But when we die, like when the body ceases to function, the soul or spirit ceases. So substitute soul or spirit for energy, and there you go. Where does that energy go? And when we find out where that energy goes, then we find out what the theoretical heaven is, or what the theoretical life after death is, or whatever. That's my theory on it. So I think, yeah, I give him a high five on that one. So maybe I explained it well. Some people say, you're nuts. It goes all over the map for me, Yeah, so, Nikola Tesla is on the $100 Serbian dinar banknote. Just something interesting there. Again, his, again, such a great topic, such a a guy that you can go on forever on this guy, but just like the Tesla coil, he was nearly killed by that thing at one point, where it kind of went a bit awry on him, and one of his guys working in the lab with him had to actually cut the power so he wouldn't get electrocuted. So he did play with some very dangerous things. Now, as far as the lighting of the light bulbs in the ground using transmitted energy, the science does show that you can do that. It's basically he was, I guess, with fluorescence. And the thing is, how far could he push that power? The idea again was to take power, and rather than having hydro poles, you just basically fire a thunderbolt, so to speak, a lightning bolt to the object that you want to power. And he visualized trains, he visualized basically benefits for humanity that would be, if ever realized, possibly really good, but it also would have been a hell of a bug zap. It'd be like living in a live bug zapper zone. Uh, throwing lightning bolts at a aircraft so that it would power to the next power station, then another lightning bolt would hit it and carry it to the next one, basically transmitting power through the air without wire. That was what he wanted to achieve. But what could what could you do with that? The problem is with that is that the second electricity is always looking to ground itself on something. That's where your problem comes in. So, you throw your power through the air, somehow you make it work, and your big Tesla coil throws the power through the air 30, 40 feet. Okay, that object is now grounded out, and you've created your circuit, and okay, great. But what happens if whatever's on that object it grounds out too? It gets fricasseed, right? Yeah, you'll be pretty much blown to bits. An example is kind of a grim example. About a decade or so ago, there was a lady, a hydro pole fell down a few towns from me, and the hydro wire went across the hood of the car. And she would have been safe in her car because of the car tires, but when she got out, she got zapped. And unfortunately, so did her baby. So like I say, it's grounded out. Now, that said, that power wasn't hurting anything on the car. It was probably sparking and stuff, but the power wasn't hurting anything on the car. So electricity is always trying to ground out. It follows the path of least resistance. So that's what you have to work with. So that can also be a very hard thing to control. Why? Because yes, the lightning bolt's going through the air in your Tesla coil, but then it sees a very attractive object, it'll jump to that. And then next thing you know, you could have problems. So anyway, there's so much to say about this guy. Where do you end it? Where do you start it? I just kind of like the way his thought process was forward thinking, even if you don't agree with everything. The guy was, the eugenics side of it. Many scientist types tend to, especially back in those days, a lot of it was class warfare, but they did truly believe you could breed away, certain traits of a person. And to some extent, that is kind of true. You can, it's not so much that can it be done, it's can you control it. And like we know that, if you take, people, for example, two people that have brown eyes, they mate together, chances are their kids are going to have brown eyes, that type of thing, those traits that get passed on from the parents. So by DNA mapping that we have now, you can actually, and there are, I think, sites out there that are like dating sites that match your DNA, saying, okay, that you guys are a perfect DNA match. It will complement this, this, and this. It exists already. So what does the future hold? Who knows? I think the future is held by the morality of society. That's I think science is held by the morality of society. There's no place we probably can't go. It's just, should we go? But anyway, I guess leave it on that. So if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. If you want me to do more on this guy, twist my rubber arm. Next to that, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like, feature yourself, feature others. And always have a great day. Have a good G'day, hi, and welcome. All right, let's get into this. Before we do, a little story. Back when I was in high school and I took electricity class, we also shared the electricity class with the automotive class. And we found a 12-volt battery, and our fellow student Jerry was a basically unsuspecting victim of our prank of hooking booster cables to the chair. And while he sat on the chair, we then connected the red booster cable and touched the chair, setting Jerry with a nice 12-volt zap. Now, we used the Edison side of things on that one, but had we used the Tesla side of things, we would have killed poor Jerry. However, still would have been funny either way. Nobody really liked Jerry very much, but anyway, I digress. But AC power, that's the thing. The phrase volts hurts, amps kill. And it only takes about a seventh of an amp, 0.7th of an amp, to actually kill a person. I mean, you could hold 1,000,000,000 volts in your hand as long as you don't ground out on anything. That type of thing. So the man revolutionized the world. Now, there was something he had said, and I don't know if I can actually coin it exactly how he said it. But basically, progress was not necessarily good for humanity. Meaning, if you have to completely destroy the landscape and completely, you take all the resources out of the land and just basically consume everything, that wasn't necessarily good for humanity. So it may be progress, but it's not necessarily good for humanity. This can get kind of long, so I'm gonna kind of leave out a lot of stuff. You can go to the Wikipedia site if you want to get the full biography of the man, because it's quite long. So I'll try to cut it as short as I can. Or it's still going to be long. But anyway, born July 10th, 1856 in Smiljan, Austrian Empire, modern-day Croatia. Died 7th of January 1943 at age 86 in New York City. Cause of death, coronary thrombosis. Probably butcher that. Education and stuff like that. Well, he went to a lot of different schools, he dropped out of some of them. He was kind of a little bit of a renegade in the first years. He did well when he applied himself, which even caused some of his one of his professors to think that he was cheating, because he could do calculus and stuff like in his head. And figured he was cheating. And then of course he got addicted to gambling and stuff like that. And, like most of these mad scientists, genius types, they always go a little insane and off the deep end and become quite eccentric. So he lost money. He even cut ties with his family after failing school. Because he didn't want to be a failure, and then they tried to track him down and pleaded for him to come home, but he didn't, and stuff like that. His dad was a preacher, so to speak, and his mom was basically the mad inventor of the household, and he attributes his creative side to his mom's side. So that's kind of interesting. Now, what made this man so kind of special, so to speak? What made him really catch the world's attention? And something I've often talked about, is that a lot of people nowadays think that people that lived before us were stupid. And there could be nothing further from the truth. In fact, you've probably heard me quoted several times, me saying that, you can quote me saying that there were people in the 1800s that were much far forward thinking than what people are today. Mind you, they didn't have any distractions back then. Either you were working or you were thinking. You know what I mean? There wasn't really much in between to do. That's why some of the, your philosophers and poets and stuff, that they came around before the internet age. Right now, everything, you don't have to really create as much now, because you could just go and watch everything on the internet or on TV or whatever. And, you can get ideas from that, but that does kind of hold back creativity to a certain degree when you're just consuming it rather than actually, basically participating in it, into creativity. But anyway, Nikola Tesla, the genius who lit the world. Nikola Tesla symbolized the unified force of the inspirational for all nations in the name of peace and science. He was truly a visionary, far ahead of his contemporaries in the field of scientific development. New York State and many other states in the U.S. proclaimed July 10th Tesla's birthday, Nikola Tesla Day. Many U.S. state congressmen gave speeches in the House of Representatives in July 10th in 1990, celebrating the 134th anniversary of the scientific inventor Nikola Tesla. The street sign, Nikola Tesla Corner, was placed on the corner of 40th Street and 6th Avenue in Manhattan. There is a large photo of Tesla in the Statue of Liberty Museum. The Liberty Science Center in Jersey City, New Jersey, has a daily science demonstration of the Tesla coil. creating a million volts of electricity before the spectators' eyes. Many books were written about Tesla. You know, the genius, the kind of mad scientist, the life of Nikola Tesla by John O'Neill, Margaret Cheney's book Tesla, Man Out of Time, contributed significantly to his fame. A documentary film of Nikola Tesla, the genius who lit the world, produced the Tesla Memorial Society and Nikola Tesla Museum in Belgrade, The Secret of Nikola Tesla, Orson Welles, BBC Films master, ionosphere, and the other contributor geniuses. So, like I said, Nikola Tesla was born July 10th, 1856, in Smiljan, I don't know if I pronounced it right, Laika, which is then the part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, region of Croatia. His father, Milutin Tesla, was a Serbian Orthodox priest. His mother, Dajuka Manidic was an inventor of her own right, household appliances. Tesla studied at the Realschule Karlstrand in 1873, and the Polytechnic Institute of Graz in Austria, and the University of Prague. And at first he intended to specialize in physics and mathematics, but soon became fascinated with electricity. He began his career as an electrical engineer with the telephone company in Budapest in 1881. It was there where Tesla was walking with a friend through the city park, and that was elusive solution to the rotating magnetic field flashing through his mind with a stick